House of Edtech, Episode 17. The House of Edtech podcast is brought to you by Audible.com. Get your free audiobook download at audibletrial.com/House of Edtech. Welcome to the House of Edtech podcast. I am your host, Christopher Nessie. The House of Edtech podcast explores how technology is changing the way teachers teach and the impact that technology is having in education. My objectives include discussing technology that is changing our classrooms and schools and sharing information that you can hear about today and use tomorrow by talking to teachers, leaders, and creators like you and having them share their stories. Because whether you use it or not, technology is changing the way we teach and how our students learn. Well, welcome everybody to another episode of the House of Edtech. It is great to be here because I am coming to you from my brand new studio. Mrs. Nessie and I and Miles, she was on the podcast, so Caitlin, Miles, and I are finally in the new house. We are all settled. As you know from last episode, the house pretty much beat me up, spit me out with all the different projects I was doing. And it is just good to be sitting here in the new room that's going to be, I guess I'm literally now sitting in my House of Edtech, so this is really cool. I am sitting at a brand new desk that I built with these two hands that I'm looking at and you can't see. And if you're in the car, hopefully your hands are on the wheel, so that would be good. But this is fantastic. We love the new house. Miles loves the new house. Everybody that's been over has had nothing but great things to say. We're really happy, and I don't feel so tired anymore. I'm looking forward to all the different work I'm going to be doing here, and I'm really proud of all the work I've done already. So there will be some pictures in the show notes for this episode about the, about the new house and some pictures of the desk. And obviously the rest of this episode, I have some great, awesome content that I'd like to share with you. Coming up, I do have my Edtech thought, my Edtech recommendation, and the latest installment of the House of Edtech VIP. I do not have an interview in this episode because, again, with the house, I had literally no time. I don't even think I used the word literally correctly, so I apologize. I did not have any time to reach out and book somebody to speak to. So this is a Chris-centered episode, and I am looking forward to my next episode where I do have an interview lined up, but I will talk more about that before we say goodbye later on. Some other things before I get into my Edtech thought. On August 18th, so if you're listening to this and you're dedicated, and this is the day you're listening to this, the day this comes out, tomorrow, well, I'll just stick with it. On August 18th, I am attending Teach Meet NJ, and that's at the Richard Stockton College right here in New Jersey. And this conference is the product of the hard work of Mr. Kyle Calderwood. If you recall, Kyle was episode 12's VIP, and of course I still recommend that you connect with Kyle if you haven't already. And the fastest way to connect with him is on Twitter, and his handle is KCalderW, CALDERW. And I'm looking forward to attending a number of fantastically titled workshops, and I'm pretty sure that the content of the workshops will live up to the title. The workshops that I'm looking forward to attending are The Digital Side of PARC, a tech toolbox for the technology-enhanced items on the PARC assessment. Now, if you don't live in New Jersey, the PARC assessment means nothing to you, but that is the new standardized test that is coming to New Jersey, and that's going to be presented by Miss Monica Hittinger, so I'm looking forward to that. I'm also going to be attending Cool Tools to Conquer the Common Core, and that's being presented by Alicia McCall. And I'm also attending So You Want to Be a Google Certified Teacher, presented by Melissa Murphy. And yes, I am giving some thought to becoming a Google Certified Teacher, so I figured that would be a great workshop to attend. I'm also attending the Power Hour, also being presented by Alicia McCall. And I'm attending iPhoneography by William King. That's really interesting because as much as my wife is the one who is the photographer, I do have an interest in photography and capturing what the eye sees. My problem is I always just get disappointed when the picture isn't what my eye saw. I'm also looking forward to attending these other two, which are, one is Awesome Chrome Apps and Extensions for Teachers and Students, and that's being presented by Meredith Martin. And to wrap up my day, I am also attending 20 Tools in 20 Minutes by William King. Now that's interesting because all of the workshops at this conference, Teach Meet NJ, to my understanding, they are all 20-minute sessions. So it's kind of structured, but it's also kind of like the Unconference where it's like speed dating. I think that's what Kyle says. It's Teach Meet NJ is like the speed dating of professional development. They want to get you in, get you out, and expose you and teach you as much as they possibly can while you're there. And I was just speaking to Jeff Bradbury of TeacherCast.net before I sat down to record this, and he and I are possibly going to be presenting a workshop on Monday at Teach Meet NJ. So if you're attending, you may see myself and Jeff, talking about something. We don't know what yet, but we were spitballing a number of topics that we may be interested in presenting on. So if you're attending Teach Meet NJ, I do want to extend an invitation to you to come up and say hello. I don't look like the avatar or the picture, but I'll be wearing something nice and, I'm pretty friendly. So come up and say hello. I would love to meet you, especially if you're a listener here of the House of Ed Tech. Now let's move on. Again, I do apologize that I don't have an interview, but this kind of changes things up just a little bit. So let's get into my EdTech thought. I've called this episode's EdTech thought, Trying Something New. So here we go. Your new school year is right around the corner. You may even be back at school in some capacity already. Perhaps you're an administrator and you work all year round. God bless you. As a new school year approaches, I'd like you to give serious consideration to trying something new this year with regard to technology. Since you listen to this podcast, you're already showing no fear and that you're willing to learn about education technology and technology integration. So in my opinion, you are off to a great start. As I say in each episode, using technology isn't difficult. Just give it a try. And I truly mean this. Here are 4 quick things you can try this school year. Number 1, maintain your class website. Number 2, implement a new technology tool. Number 3, get connected. Number 4, attend an Unconference. Now let me go into a little bit of detail about each one. First, maintain your class website. First, I think this has got to be the easiest thing that you can do if you want to really start to integrate technology and do more than just, I guess, have a class website. Try not to be the teacher who updates their website in September and then never again the rest of the year. A well-maintained website is an invaluable tool and resource for not only your students and parents, but for you as well. Take pride in keeping your site updated. If you need motivation, remember that your website is a great tool for sharing the great things that you're doing in the classroom. If you're not comfortable with your school's platform, ask for a refresher training or speak with a colleague who can work with you and get you back on track with how to use whatever web platform you're using. And if your school doesn't have a specific platform, then you might want to consider starting a classroom blog using Blogger or WordPress. Both are free, and both can give you the ability to create really visually appealing content and keep your students informed where you can, again, post assignments, reminders, and there's a whole plethora of things you can do with a well-maintained class website. You'll appreciate it, and so will your students and your students' parents. Number 2, implement a new technology tool. This can go in any number of infinite directions, but find a new tech tool, one that you're comfortable with, and really use it. 2 that come to mind for me are number 1, Evernote, and number 2, Selly. Evernote can be a great tool for taking notes and providing feedback and catching all your thoughts. I spoke more in depth about Evernote in episode 7 of the podcast, and you'll be able to find a link to episode 7 in the show notes for this episode. Selly is a fantastic tool that will allow you to increase the communication you have with your students and parents via cell phones. It's a great, free, and safe tool that you should definitely consider employing today. I think so highly of Selly that it was the first tool that I recommended here on the House of EdTech. So you can go back to episode 1 for some thoughts on Selly. And, again, because I love Selly, you can also check out episode 6, where I spoke with Derek Teller of Selly. And there'll be a link to both of those episodes in the show notes for this episode. Number 3, get connected. If you're not on Twitter, well, folks, it's time. If you're scared of Twitter, connect with me first, and I will be happy to work with you and show you its vast possibilities. Another great tool for connecting with educators is Voxer. And I've mentioned Voxer before, and it's like the new, hottest, latest thing. But the big idea is that being connected allows you to keep yourself current on relevant topics, both in and out of the classroom. As always, you can connect with me on Twitter. Again, my handle is Mr. Nessie, MrNesi, and on Voxer, my username is cnessie4602. I'd love to connect with you on both, so send me a tweet or a Vox today and we can chat more about it. And number 4, attend an Unconference. Ed camps are all the rage throughout the United States, and really worldwide. Your typical conferences are very structured and have a very predefined agenda. When you register, you know who is presenting and what training you will receive. At an Unconference, the agenda is created that day. Anyone who registers has the opportunity to present a workshop and teach others. If you're knowledgeable about a topic, you should even consider presenting at one. Ed camps are typically free, and in my opinion, you get much better information at an Unconference than a traditional conference. Also, don't forget to bring a friend. There's power in numbers, my people. There are power in numbers. And if there's 2 of you, that means that's more notes, more workshops you can attend, and then you can go back to your district or your school, and you can turnkey what you learned with your other colleagues. These conferences are a great way for learning something you can immediately use in your classroom. And that's something I personally like to get out of my PD. That's why I say it in every episode. Learn it today, use it tomorrow. And also, these conferences tend to have really good food. And if you know anything about me, I do enjoy a good meal every now and again. So that's my EdTech thought. Consider trying something new this school year. And to again refresh, number 1, put some more effort into your class website. Try a new tech tool, get connected this year, and one of the ways you can get connected and kind of tie this all together, attend an Unconference in your area. And if you do, and when you do, please reach out to me via email, feedback@chrisnessie.com, or on Twitter or on Voxer, and let me know your thoughts of what you're trying, what you're doing. I'd love to be able to share your stories on a future episode of the House of EdTech. And now for this episode's EdTech recommendation. This episode's recommendation is Pocket. That's right, Pocket. P-O-C-K-E-T. And this recommendation was inspired from an article that I read online from fractuslearning.com, written by Nick Grantham. And Fractus Learning is F-R-A-C-T-U-S learning.com. And Nick wrote an entire article all about using this app called Pocket, which I am a fan of and I personally use, and it's how I gather a lot of my resources and keep track of what I find on the web. So a little bit about Pocket. With so much information flying around the web, it is actually quite easy to find new ideas, tools, and resources for your classroom. What is difficult is finding a place to store them all and finding time to assess, organize, and put them into practice. Pocket is one solution that many leading educators are using to organize ideas and clear this clutter. It's really quite simple. Find something you like online, click the button, and it's saved to your Pocket. Pocket, the tool, works much like the pocket that's in your pants. Put stuff in it that you want to use later. Pocket lets you save directly from your browser or from apps like Twitter, Flipboard, Pulse, and Zeit. so that you can view the content whenever you have the time, even if you're offline. Now, from Nick's article, here are 5 ways that you can use Pocket in your classroom. Number 1, as a class resource center. Number 2, you can use Pocket as a to-do list. Number 3, you can establish student research collections. Number 4, you can use it as a PD sharing network. And number 5, you can use Pocket kind of like a class pinboard. So going back to the first one, Pocket allows you to tag all the different articles, videos, and images and other pieces of content that you save. This means that regardless of what device you're using, you can access the information and you can view the resources later. And you can also share them and keep them, well, not really keep them for yourself, but find it and kind of almost like a pinboard, gather the information and material that you want to refer back to. Number 2, use it as a to-do list. You can keep a redefined list in your Pocket of all the classroom ideas and activities you want to put into practice. You can set yourself a goal, such as 1 per month or 1 per term, and you can select it, tick it off, save it to your Pocket archive, and this is a great way of hiding things that are no longer needed, but you always still have them available to view later on. Number 3, as a student research collection. Pocket can be an extremely useful application for your students too. Given the simplicity of the tool and its exceptional compatibility on all devices, Pocket can act as the perfect digital scrapbook for your students. As long as your students are permitted to sign up via email, they too can use Pocket to collect and organize relevant articles, images, and videos for classwork, projects, or any other type of media curation. Now, I should let you know that I'm actually pulling a lot of these ideas almost word for word from the article by Nick, and there's a link to the full article in the show notes for this episode. Getting back to it, the last 2, as a PD sharing network. As well as saving resources, Pocket can also be used to share with your colleagues and friends. Sharing can be performed via Twitter or Facebook, but also within Pocket itself. And you should try to encourage some sharing with your colleagues so that way they can join you on Pocket and you can start to build a resource collection together. Because as I'm working with Miles and I'm teaching him the basics, sharing is, that's right, sharing is caring. Very good. And the last point, using it as a class pinboard. A neat little feature of Pocket is the ability to save items simply by sending an email. This can work very well if you are collecting resources from a number of different people. Next time your students are researching a topic, have them email relevant articles they may find to the email address add@getpocket.com. This will allow you to bundle all the resources together for a later discussion, refinement, and use. That's my Edtech recommendation, Pocket. So head over to your app store, or you can go to pocket.com and check out Pocket today. And let me know what you think if you decide to get on to Pocket. And now for everybody's favorite segment, the House of Edtech VIP. This episode's VIP is Mr. Dan Simon. Dan Simon is currently the principal of Colts Neck High School of the Freehold Regional High School District right here in New Jersey. Dan has previously served as the superintendent of Wall Township Schools in New Jersey, and he was also previously the principal of High Technology High, again here in New Jersey. Dan Simon is certified in math, and he's previously taught in East Brunswick, and he's supervised math in Ewing, as well as Scotch Plains Fanwood Public Schools. Dan's background: he has a bachelor's in math from the University of Dayton. He has a master's in math education from the College of New Jersey. He has his master's in educational leadership from Fairleigh Dickinson University, and he's currently pursuing his educational doctorate in educational leadership from Liberty University. Dan is a lead learner who understands the value of technology and supports his teachers and colleagues in their use of technology as well. He supports what they do in the classroom, and he is always interested in learning more about the benefits and ways in which technology can benefit education, his staff, and his students. I recommend that you connect with Dan. He is on Twitter. His username is dsimon, DSIMONCNHS. That's DSIMONCNHS. Congratulations to Mr. Simon. You are the House of Edtech VIP. Well, folks, that's going to do it for this episode of the House of Edtech. I am Christopher Nesi. Keep the conversation going and visit my website, mr.chrisnesi.com. You can check out the show notes for this episode at mr.chrisnesi.com/2014/houseofedtech17.html. If you have questions or comments, I would love your feedback. Leave a comment on the show notes for this episode. You can also click the SpeakPipe button on my website, or you can call the House of Edtech hotline, 732-903-4869. You can also use the show's email for feedback, and that's feedback@chrisnesi.com, or send me a tweet. I'm Mr. Nesi on Twitter, and just use the hashtag House of Edtech. And I'd love it if you connected with me on Voxer. My username again is cnesi4602. If you enjoyed the show, or you're new to the program, please rate and review the podcast in iTunes. Your 5-star rating and positive review will help keep the House of Edtech front and center for others to discover and enjoy. Be sure to come back to the house for my next episode, which will be released on August 31st, 2014, when I wrap up the summer and look ahead to the new school year. And my featured guest will be Jeff Bradbury from teachercast.net. That's going to be a great conversation, so I look forward to sharing it with you. Thank you for listening, and remember, using technology isn't difficult. Just give it a try.